out there, and welcome to Catch the Pulse with Rodney. I'll be your host this afternoon, and thank you for joining in with me. Today, we are very honored to have one of Detroit's finest DJs that I think is just an incredible guy. His name is Screamin Scott Randall. I think you all know him, so please welcome Scott. Hi, Scott. How are you, my friend?
How you doing, everybody? On the radio.
Hey! You never cease to amaze, Scott. How's things going over there on the east side?
Not bad. Just wanted to give you a big intro.
I really appreciate
not like
that,
Kiss or anything, but I can't light off pyrotechniques in the garage.
No, I don't recommend that at all. So tell me, what's going on in Scott's world today on a Sunday and a beautiful day in Detroit?
Sunday, believe it or not, today has been a relaxing day. With that, usually I'm got some honeydew stuff to do around the house. I did that early this morning. Planning a little bit of barbecuing on the back deck here at the Screamin Scott Dude Ranch main branch. But other than that, it's just a rest and relaxation day. And then towards nighttime, I start preparing for my show on Monday.
Oh, okay. And that's on 94.7, everybody. I'm sure you're aware of that. And yeah, I see all over social media, man. I seen you in a backyard party, and it was so ironic. I was following you because I know you and I had been talking a little bit, and I seen somebody that had a live video, and Seduce's Headbangers song was on. It was,
Yeah.
I heard a girl, I don't know who it was, but she's going, "Are we going to watch the podcast on Rodney and Mark Andrews?" And she's walking around the whole crowd, and you're sitting there with a face full of food and just having a great day, man. And it was just so ironic that the stars and the moon all fell in order on that one. It was very cool. So
well, it's great that you mentioned food too, while you and I are both on a diet.
I know, right, man? I got up this morning. We got the grandbaby over, and I got up and took a shower, and I was looking in the mirror. I says, "Oh my God, man!" I got on the scale, and I just said, "Nope, I can't do this. I gotta lose a little bit of pounds." But
I'm trying. It's not that easy anymore when you get up in the age.
I'm telling you, man. And my wife, she's a little Polish girl, and she cooks like nobody's business. And God love her for that. But I just gotta stay away from all the stuff that she cooks right now. She's cool with it. And so, anyhow, tell me where you grew up at, and how did it go there?
I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan. Grew up in Warren, off of Masonic and a street called Newcastle. To depict that, it was right by the power line. So hey, I turned out well.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
I turned out. We used to play underneath the power lines. We played football. We had ice hockey and everything, all underneath the power lines, and I turned out just fine.
You turned out wonderful. I see that. I actually know that area rather well. When I was pulling roll-off containers, we went to a place called Tower Industries, and the power lines ran around the back of the building. And unfortunately, a guy, he wasn't paying attention. He was on his phone, and he was a new hire. And God rest his soul, he had his box lifted up 40 feet in the air and hit the power wires, and no more, man. Yeah, just terrible. So let me know a little bit about your first radio experience. How did it come about that Screamin Scott Randall decided he wanted to be a disc jockey?
Well, actually, it's all my parents' fault. Back in 1971, they bought a Fisher stereo system from this very high-end, hi-fi place where you buy stereo equipment. They had it all custom made, and it was a Fisher 5000, and it only had the FM band. I had never seen anything like that as a kid. And it was the introduction to FM. So immediately I started to tune into different radio stations. The first one I came across was WABX, and of course W4. And then in 1971, WRIF came on. From a change from WXYZ to WRIF. And in the very early stages of radio, when I was getting really glued in and taking in music, I mean, it really understood things. I heard this little known jock by the name of Arthur Penhallow. Hey!
Know him well.
Oh my goodness. I knew right then and there, just listening to it, I was just glued right into the radio. That it's like, wow, this is what I wanted to do. Now, it took some years of crafting. And when I was in junior high school at Carter Junior High, right on Masonic, they had the prep for high school. And somebody came in from the high school radio station at Warren K. Cousino High School called WPHS. His name was Charles Lampinen. He was the instructor at the time. And immediately it's like, wow, radio. And of course, at the time, there was some key movies out there. The key movies was there was a movie called FM. And of course, WKRP in Cincinnati was huge at the time. And I knew just right then and there, it's like, wow, this is my niche. I don't think I could work in the sewer. So
Right.
uh, I, I I decided, hey, I'll at the time it's like, hey, I'll spin records and make money. Little do I know that it had a lot more to do with that. But I did 3 years of high school radio at WPHS, which was a whopping 10 watts of power. So
Holy mackerel.
we made it to the skates of the parking lot, possibly.
Yeah, right.
But
Maybe.
there were some people in Warren that would pick us up, quite a ways.
Ah.
But it was in my senior year that I thought I would be able to just jump right into radio. But all the radio legends were on the radio right there. I mean, you had Carl Coffey, you had Ken Calvert, you had Jim Johnson in the morning show. You had Ann Carlini on. You had Doug Podell on. I mean, there was so much talent in there. There wasn't really, I was just a young kid then, so I needed that extra experience. And a lot of you people know that there was a school, broadcasting school, that just defined what to do if you wanted to get in radio and television, and that was the Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. So I took the course and made a lot of connections there. My first job was in 1982, and are you ready for this? Wapakoneta, Ohio.
No, you're kidding me.
Oh, 'cause for my counselor and stuff, there was only one way to go. Either you go up north and freeze your tushy off and
Yep.
enjoy summer for 1 month a year,
Yeah.
or you went south. I went as far as Ohio to go south.
Not much difference in the weather there.
And it was a hot hit station, kind of. It was called Waxy, WAXC, Waxy 92, and it was right in the era of 1982, 83, where bands like John Parr, the early stages of Madonna, Kajagoogoo,
Oh my
you know,
God, I haven't
just
heard that name
weird stuff.
forever.
And it was basically just honing my craft. I only spent 1 year in Ohio because I don't think many of you could stand a year in Ohio.
I drive there all the time. I drive there every day, just about in my truck.
But it was kind of an interesting start. But the program director and the owner of the station at the time wanted me to talk like a strip club DJ. He wanted me to sound like this on Watsy 92. Here's John Parr. And I I told him, I said, they always taught us in radio to be yourself.
Mhm.
And that's not being I'm not a strip club DJ. He goes, that's not you're supposed to talk like this. I go, no, you're not. So
That
immediately
sounds like a game show host
yeah,
voice.
exactly. But I got disenchanted at the station. I loved, all the friends that I met in Ohio. It was great. Came back to Michigan for a very short stint and immediately got another job thanks to a friend I had met in Ohio that went over to a station in Indiana. And that was WQTZ in Decatur, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And the station owner was from Michigan. And the reason he hired me is because he basically told me, is like, when I'm talking about Michigan, you're the only one that knows what the hell I'm talking about. His name was Jeff Somerville. Lives up in Port Huron, and boy, it was the best experience I had in honing my craft in radio. It it was just incredible. And did 9 years in Indiana, and then came. Then it was time. A friend of mine called me and said, "I think it's time to come home." So I said, well, "Okay, yeah, I'll give it a try." And unbeknownst to anything, I tried to get a job and my foot back in the door. and it didn't happen. So I went back to when I moved back to Michigan, my club DJing at well in 1981, 80. I was working at New York, as well as the Ritz and the main act uh, as a club DJ. And when I came back, because like Joe Scroy, who was the owner of the Ritz, uh, told me, "Yo, we always got a job for you here." So, so,
That guy's voice. I remember
so
Joe well.
I went back to club DJ, and it was basically almost like 7 nights a week at the Ritz. And a gentleman came up to me and said, "Wow, it's like you got this great voice for radio. Have you ever thought of being in radio after 10 years?"
No.
After 10 years out of state, and I was like,
I,
"Can I tell you a story?" Uh, but
right
to
on.
find out that he was the program director for Z Rock, which was a station that they opened up here in Detroit, and they were looking for a morning guy because the satellite Z Rock, the morning guy got into some trouble on the radio, and so he offered me the morning position. I had never done a morning position, but then again, I wasn't going to turn it down. So I accepted the job as the lowest paid morning show guy in the Motor City. And that's how I started. I started Z Rock, and I believe it was around 94, 95 ish, and did 3.5 years at Z Rock, which was incredible. 102.7. Got to work with some radio greats, radio legends, I still say, like Steve Black, Danielle Flynn, uh, Joel the Party Dude, and the program director, Joe Bevilacqua, was so fantastic. And so I did that stretch for a while. And then Z Rock itself, which headquartered in Dallas, was breaking off because music was changing, grunge was coming in and changing everything. So they told the Detroit Z Rock, "Hey, if you want to keep the name Z Rock, you're going to have to pay." And Detroit said,
Oh, right
"Screw you."
on.
And I don't know the basic they basically, to put it, they decided to change the format or change the name, keep the format, and that's when the bear was invented. And to really kick it off, they thought, well, let's bring in a high profile person to be the DJ. And that's when they picked Ted Nugent. So when that happened, that kind of put me in the back seat at the radio station, uh, which some friends of mine told me, he's like, "Hey, don't feel bad about losing your job. You lost it to Ted Nugent.
Right.
They had to get Ted Nugent to replace you."
Kick you out. Right. I get it.
So I still did weekends at the Bear. I did one air shift for the Bear. It was on a Saturday, and I remember the story uh, like it was yesterday. I answered the request line, and it was a gentleman that said, "Hey, this is the Doc of Rock, Doug Podell." And I said, "Yeah, sure." Click. I hung up on him. I
Oh
literally
no.
hung up. I hung up on him.
Oh my goodness.
And the phone rings again. I said, "Hello, the Bear." He says, "No, no, Scott, Scott, it's really Doug Podell." I go, "Really?" He's like, "Oh my God, Doug, I'm sorry." And we got to talking. He liked the kind of things that I did on the air when
Hmm.
I was doing mornings. He says, "How would you like to come over to WRIF?" And I said, "Oh my God, it's like what? That's a dream come true," because that was my ultimate goal from way back in 1971 was to, hey, someday I'm going to work at WRIF. And right off the bat, again, there were still a lot of radio legends there. And he made the offer weekends for right now and then club gigs during the week to compensate to get me money. And he promised me that within a year that I would be full time. And he kept his promise like the good man that he was. And there was another DJ that went overnights, which moved the whole shift. It moved Meltdown from overnights to 7 to midnight, and
Emos.
moved. Yeah, no, this is Meltdown.
Oh, okay.
Meltdown moved from the overnight to 7 to midnight, and that put me to the overnights, which I did for many years. And then another change moved Meltdown to 3 to 7, which made me 7 to midnight. And then I did 26 fantastic, wonderful years, and worked with some great program directors from, and music directors from Doug Podell to Mark Pennington to Dave Wellington, which was another great one. And again, got to work with Doug Podell. I would see Ken Calvert walking around because it was all under the same umbrella with the company. It was called Greater Media back then. So we had Jim Harper over at Magic, and then the CSX crew. You had Jim Johnson, you had Ken Calvert, you had Karen Savali, and I was over at RIF working with Ann Carlini. It's like, oh my
She's such a
God,
sweetheart. She's such a
she
good
is
friend of mine.
amazing, good friend. I
Yeah.
respect her. She's whenever I had a problem or worried about radio or anything like that, I could always call Ann, and Ann would just set it to me straight. Just
Mhm.
a wonderful, wonderful human being, and I respect her and love her every single day. She is just tops
Yeah.
of my book. So I did the riff thing, and then for 26 years, I'm sure there's a lot of stories, but we only have so much time.
I get it. I get it. We got all the time in the world for
Yeah.
you, Scott. Ed and me go back years and years and years from the
Mhm.
studio lounge. She hangs out with a good friend of mine, Tanya, from the old band Savage Grace. And
Yeah,
I,
I
ac-
remember Savage Gears.
yeah, I actually worked at WRF for like couple months. I was
Yeah.
the gopher guy. Yeah, and I would come in and Art would be in the booth with all the lights out and stuff. And
Hey,
I was just
Rodney. Hey, Rodney, go give me
yeah.
a drink.
Yeah, and then Doug and me, we actually go back probably 30 years as well. Doug's a good friend of mine and always has been and
It's
always
awesome.
will be. He's a great
Awesome.
guy. He always loves his Corvettes, and I got a lot of love and respect for Doug and the
Doug and
whole
I have
crew.
a whole Beatles thing going.
Uh-oh.
He is the biggest Beatle fan that I
I
know,
know that. Yeah.
big time. I mean, I have a meager collection compared.
Who's got the White Album?
Oh, he's probably got. I would mark my words. He's probably got 10 different copies of the White Album,
That's
all different
crazy.
styles and imports and all that.
You
But
know, I actually won a guitar on the radio station back, and I talked about it on the previous podcast. Uh, they were doing a contest, and me and Doug were friends. And
mm,
I actually got a call from the radio station saying I won a Charvel Jackson autograph.
woo,
Yeah, autograph from the guys in Twisted Sister and Doc and some other band. And I got to go and meet him at the radio station. And then, like I said on the previous show, that Don Dokken, he was just very and I didn't care for him, and I'll leave it at that. But Dee Snider,
oh,
Dee Snider.
everybody at the Token Lounge just loves Don Dokken.
Oh, I get it, man. Right? I
Same
don't
with
think he'll
all the
be.
opening bands that opened up for Don
I
Dokken.
was
They
just
just
gonna
love
say,
Don.
yeah, he really put a bad taste
Oh,
in
story.
everybody's mouth in the Detroit area, and well deserved, I'd say, because he really treated everybody on that particular show or whatever you would like to call it like crap
Mm.
because of his own inabilities and his own stage presence, and he blamed it on everybody else, and nobody was taking it. But
I did see Lynch Mob. I think it was
yeah,
last week. Oh my
oh,
God, George!
he
George
still got it.
just plays
Let
like
me.
butter. He just
I
plays like butter. It's awesome.
he Who's the biggest like celebrity rock stars that you've actually got? And I'm gonna like pick your brain here for a second.
Okay.
Who are the biggest rock stars that you've got to sit down and talk with on or off radio?
Mm.
And what did it do to influence you to be a better person on the radio?
Well, I'll tell you, my all-time favorite. It happened, believe it or not, in Ireland. If you could
Wow.
believe that. The radio station sent me on this what they call a junket. Miller Genuine Draft Beer used to have this awesome contest, which I wish they would bring back. It was called the Miller Genuine Draft Blind Date Tour. So what they would do is we'd get a bunch of winners from the radio station, and we'd fly to a place either here in the States or, uh, in this case, Ireland to see a band. But nobody knew who the band was until they dropped the curtain. You got to see it. So here I am. I am over in Ireland and watching them set up, and all the other winners were downstairs at the bar. I was up in the second balcony where the sound board was. So it was kind of cold at that time of year in Ireland, and I was wearing a WRIF jacket. So as I was sitting there, just watching the sound guys tune in everything, uh, a gentleman taps me on the shoulder. Says, "Excuse me." He says, "Do you work at WRIF?" And I pointed at my jacket, like, "Yes." And I turn around, it's Dave Grohl.
No way.
And Dave Grohl is like, he says, "You mind if I sit down?" I said, "Wow, wow, yeah." And,
Right.
and I'm trying to keep cool because in the back of my head, I'm going, "Oh my God, it's Dave Grohl."
Right on.
But
Sure.
I kept composure and said, "Yeah." I say, "Hi, how you doing?" I'm Screamin Scott from WRIF in Detroit. And we got to talking. And first of all, he goes, "You want a real beer?"
Oh
And
no.
he goes, "Hold on a second." So he goes and gets a couple Guinness beers.
Right.
And we just get to talking about music and things about stuff he's doing with the Foo Fighters. And then
Mm-hmm.
he goes to me, he goes, "Scott, do you know who the secret band is?" I go, "Is
Got to
it
be
the Foo
you.
Fighters?" "Yeah, it's got to be the Foo Fighters." He
All
goes,
right.
"No, no, no. But I'm dating the bass player." And I went,
That face.
and then he leans in and goes, "The bass player's a girl." I go, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool."
Oh
It
shit.
it turned out to be the Smashing Pumpkins. That was the secret band. And at that time,
Wow.
Dave Grohl was dating DRC, the bass player
Uh-huh.
for the Smashing Pumpkins. But unique story. I had a wonderful time. We exchanged numbers for a while, but of course, probably after a few phone calls, he disconnected me. But I am hoping sometime I get to meet Dave again to tell him that story because I'm sure he would get a kick out of it. Other than that, a great gentleman. I've met David Lee Roth on numerous occasions, but out of the Eddie Van Halen, of course, was a huge highlight. When I went to meet him, the manager told me, "Now, Scott, I'm going to introduce you to Eddie Van Halen. I please ask one favor. When you shake his hand, make sure your hand is as limp as possible." And I'm like, "What?" He says, "Let me put it to you this way. If you shake Eddie Van Halen's hand and you squeeze it too tight, we won't have a show."
I
I was
guess
like, "Oh,
not.
yeah, that's right." Because
Right.
you got to imagine how many people that have met Eddie
Oh.
Van Halen was like, "Oh my God, Eddie Van Halen, how you
Oh
doing?"
yeah. You didn't want to be
He's
one of
got
the
to be fun.
guys. Yeah,
But
I
of all the
get it.
Van Halen band members, my favorite has always been Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar. But Michael Anthony, funny story, did an interview with me. I was interviewing Van Halen at Joe Louis Arena, and the equipment I had for Z-Rock was this big Marty unit, which you could plug in, and then it would send the signal back to the radio station. Well, with all the concrete at Joe Louis Arena, the signal wasn't getting through the walls. So Michael is standing there, and he's going, "Well, what are you going to do?" I was like, I said, Michael's like, "I got to get this interview." It's like, it's a dream come true. And I peer over to the corner, and he's like, "There's a payphone over there." And he looks at me and he goes, "You're not thinking it." Uh, uh, uh. I said, "Please, Michael, please, do this interview with me." So he
Oh,
smiled and said, "Okay." And so I called the radio station and
oh
said,
my
"Roll
goodness.
tape," because I'm interviewing Michael Anthony. And we just sat there and put the mic back
Oh
in.
my goodness. On an
And
old
he did that.
payphone. On an
And
old
then
payphone.
I had met, I had went to Cabo Wabo for Sammy Hagar's birthday, and Michael Anthony was on the trip. Got to hang out with Michael Anthony. Went to dinner with his family, and the first thing he said to me, I had this suit from probably Kmart from the '70s. Probably it was the only suit I had at the time, and he laughed at me so much. He goes, "Don't ever wear that suit again." It's like, relax. It's like, "Oh, I thought it was a black tie affair." It's like, "Yeah." But
Oh,
with
wow.
Sammy Hagar, I was waiting. Um, I was waiting outside the Cabo Wabo to get in for his birthday, October 10th every year, and it is huge. I was waiting outside, and the manager noticed my RIF laminate and said, "Hey, you work at RIF? Come here." I said, "Okay." He says, "See that door over there in the corner?" He says, "Climb that ladder and push open the latch for the attic up there." I said, "Okay." He says, "I'll meet you up there in probably about 20 minutes." So I said, "Okay." So I go, climb the ladder, and the latch is locked. So I unlock it and I push really, it's a really heavy wooden door. And I step up to the middle of Sammy Hagar's dressing room,
No
which
kidding.
was full of people, the whole band, the Woberitos and
Uh-huh.
Roberitas, with Michael Anthony and everybody. And
Wow.
Sammy's looking at me like, "Can I help you?" And I said, "I'm screaming from Riff. Your manager told me to come up here." He goes, "Well, get up here then." Boom.
Oh,
And the
geez.
tequila was flowing, and oh my goodness, and meet the family and everything. That was incredible. That was a good story with Sammy.
How did you get the name Screamin Scott? I love it, but is it just
Yeah.
a call name, or did you think of it yourself,
Well,
or how did it come about?
believe it or not, in Indiana, somebody gave it. I had a nickname as a kid, as Biffer. You know, when I worked as a DJ at a roller rink,
Yeah.
and when I went to work in Indiana, the owner, Jeff Somerville, thought it was funny that my name was Biffer, so he called me Captain Biff. So I used
Captain
Captain
Biff.
Biff. He called me Captain Biff for a while, and it was fun, and it caught on for a little while. When I came back to Michigan and stuff, that blew away. But when I started working at Z Rock, doing mornings, all the DJs had very unique names. Besides Screamin' Scott, there was Loud Debbie Dowd, there was Ward Cleaver, there was Shark Man, Dave Bolt, who's still a good friend of mine after all these years. So when I got the job, they said, "You're going to be Screamin' Scott." And I thought, "Oh, okay. You're gonna pay me to be Screamin' Scott? Okay." Which I never thought it would catch on. Which at first it was tough because coming on a new radio station in Detroit, you had the Drew and Mike show that was just dominating radio at the time. And for me to come on, I had a lot of friends and stuff that followed me from the Ritz in Roseville and just from all over supporting local music. That when I started playing Pantera at 5:30 in the morning, everyone was like, "Dude, that's pretty cool, man." And playing all the hard rock that they wanted to hear. But in the morning,
Right on.
um, I slowly built an audience that
Mhm.
tended to follow me. I don't think I could play Pantera now, being as
Not on
DSX,
94.
but
Well, maybe. Do you
yeah,
have do you
in
have full
time.
reign of? That's another thing I was gonna wanted to touch base on.
Hmm.
Um, I know that the big corporate has a lot to do with what's being played on the radio and what have you.
Hmm.
Um, do you have a lot of restraints from the? Do you have a format per se? Because I know Arthur didn't. He could do.
Yeah,
He had free range.
yeah,
You had
there was
free?
a good point. That was the story you'd like to hear. But the actual truth of the story, you have some leeway. But
Okay.
again, your job is to work for the company, which is also uh, you're hired by the program director and the music director, and they have the insight of what the radio station should sound like. Now, on top of it, they don't want me to just be freeform because I don't want to be playing the same music you just heard Danielle Flynn before me play the hour in my hour because I want to hear uh, Bruce Springsteen Born to Run too. So it's like so it's formatted out and stuff. And there's certain sections. We have our lunch programs. We have the
Mhm.
3 at 3, and then the evening progress with Johnny Rock and Alice Cooper is
Mhm.
syndicated coming in at 10 o'clock. There are some leeways on requests
Okay.
and things, but for the most part and stuff, you follow a format and do a show.
Okay. Let me
And
ask you
again,
this. Let me ask you
mhm,
this. Is there any spying up the channel or down the channel from DJ to DJ occasionally? Li-
uh, define
Uh,
spying.
listening to what they're playing, because I
Oh,
know
oh
for a
yeah.
fact.
I
Okay.
listen. I listen to all the stations,
Right.
and it's not because I'm doing Russian research. I listen for the enjoyment of
Oh,
hearing my fellow broadcasters. I there's competition, of course. There's always going to be competition, but
yeah,
I look at it as these are all my friends. I've always,
sure.
from Doug Podell to Ann Carlini to
Yeah.
Jason over at 104.3, uh,
Uh-huh.
Jim Harper. Listen to him on JR. Mitch Album has always been I've
Yeah.
always been a big fan of Mitch. And
Yeah.
these are all my friends. And I just adore them all. And I love hearing a jock do a good break. And
Sure.
I love hearing, just like you, I'm sure you want to hear good music.
Oh, of course. Of
In
course.
fact, my secret fetish is an AM radio station.
Oh no, you're kidding me.
Uh, Believe it or not, it's 580 AM. They
Five.
they 580 AM,
Uh-huh.
CKWW. They play the most outrageous music I have ever heard, and they have one of the old time DJs, the real Don Steele, which brings back tons of memories. If you remember CKLW and all the music that they played, uh, they have the most outrageous format. You could be hearing. Um, Here's the thing: you could be hearing Gordon Lightfoot 1 minute, and the next minute they'll be playing Led Zeppelin.
No way.
Yeah, I'm serious.
That's
I'm serious.
crazy.
But you'll hear Anne Murray and then Tony Orlando and Don tie a yellow ribbon on their old tree,
Oh
and
my
and
goodness.
and then they'll follow it up with Rush, Closer to the Heart. Uh,
Wow.
there's probably the Canadian artists that get all that, but it's
What
an
is your what is it
it's an
what
awesome station.
what is your favorite kind of music? I know you've been up and down the state, up and down the
Hmm.
dial, and you've played it. You've DJ'd from classic rock to hard
Hmm.
rock. And what does Screamin Scott listen to when he's not on the radio?
Well, I loved all the years that I worked at WRIF. That was just an amazing format. But now it's with being at WCSX, it's like reflecting back to my early years, which I just adored, hearing all the music I grew up with. And not only that, it's the family that I get to work with now, from Big Jim and Ryan to Danielle Flynn that I used to work with at Z Rock. She does middays at 10 to 3. From Joel the Party Dude to Johnny Rock, who I used to work with at WRIF. I get to see Meltdown on a daily basis. He's always walking around the hallways. We have the exact same shift, 3 to 7, so we always bump into each other. Talk about an amazing DJ is Meltdown. Uh, Meltdown and I, uh,
Andy rides. Andy rides.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's a motorcycle thing. He came out and
Mhm.
see me Friday at the Roadhouse Bar,
Oh,
and
nice.
just
Hear
amazing. But
that? Hear that? Hear that? James and your wife Cindy, you just got a huge plug for
yeah.
Screaming Scott.
Oh, James actually came out and sang a couple songs with us on Friday.
Yeah, he happens to do that a lot. He has a pretty good voice. He's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I like James a lot.
He did "Be My Lover" from Alice Cooper.
How many songs did you guys do over there?
We did 3 hours worth.
No
Actually,
kidding.
3.5 hours worth, I should say, with a
Wow.
couple short breaks. But
Nice. Nice.
just love that bar. That was pretty cool. It was the first time we ever played there.
Yeah, it's a very personable place, man. But I got a question for you.
Sure.
Tell me what it was like with Drew and Mike in the mornings. I know you probably had to wake them up once or twice, didn't you?
Yes, that was after a while because I was the overnight jock. It all started just harmlessly one time or 1 year. I get a phone call on the hotline. It's like, wow, this is strange. Who's calling me at like 3 o'clock in the morning? It
Mm-hmm.
was Mike Clark.
Okay.
And he goes, "Hey, Scott." He's like, "Can you make sure you wake me up in the morning, just so I don't oversleep my alarm clock?" I said, "Yeah, sure."
Mm-hmm.
So I made it a habit. I told him, "I was like, look, I could do this every day for you." And he goes, "Oh, that'd be great." And so we had quite the time of
Wow.
me waking him up in the morning, and then it expanded to the entire staff. I was giving Drew a
Oh
morning wake up
my.
call, Mike and Mark, the producers, wake up
Uh-huh.
calls when needed. They didn't need them every day.
No.
But the Mike Clark ones got to be so funny that I thought, this is interesting. So I started running tape
No, you did
whenever I
not.
did. Every morning that I'd wake up Mark and Mike Clark, and oh my God, the stories that he would come up with were
To
just
be to
incredible.
being late to go to work.
Yes,
Oh, I
yeah,
could imagine. He was a character. Some of his stuff, man. He had a saying, and it was about butt Mike. That was
yeah,
it,
but
butt
Mike,
Mike. Oh
yeah.
my God, that was hilarious, man.
In
And
fact, in fact, when I first started at WRIF and came in the studio, I had asked personally. There's two stories to tell you. The first one was which one of these microphones is butt mic.
I can
So because
imagine.
I know Drew had the main mic,
Right.
where I would talk, but I was like, which one of these is butt mic?
Oh
But
my
when I
God.
first came over to the riff, I remember this great story. Is Doug Podell brought me in the station and was introducing me to everybody, telling me that I was got a job there. Uh, Went into the studio and Arthur Penhollow was on and opened the door. And Doug goes, "Hey, this is and I've known Arthur for years already, but he reached his hand out and said, "Hey, Screamin, welcome to the team." And it's like, boom, oh my goodness,
Felt
such a
great.
great guy.
Yeah, I think he got done dirty at the end, and I don't want to go into all that,
I
but
don't know actually the full story. All I know it had deal with contract disputes, and
yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
yeah,
He
me
he was
too.
always golden. He's a Rock
Yeah,
and Roll Hall of Fame. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of
yes,
Fame
he is.
along with
Well,
Steve Costan.
yeah,
Steve
Steve.
Costan also in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I am not in the Rock and
Well,
Roll Hall of
your
Fame.
time's coming. Your time's
No,
coming. Dude, I'm telling you, everybody, I swear, man, I told so many of my friends that I was doing this interview with you, and you're well loved by a lot of people. And I want to talk a little bit about the chit years and how
mhm,
long you've been in it and everything.
uh-huh.
And but I want to say that Steve Costan's a very close friend of mine. We talk all the time. He
The
lives right down the street. Yeah,
encyclopedia of rock and roll.
he really truly is, and his son's a great kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get along great with Steve. In fact, if the walls could talk at my house on Stonehouse back when my brother owned the Token Lounge as
Mhm.
well as the Studio Lounge, I don't know, man. It was just some
Well, I
crazy.
remember this. Do you remember this?
Oh, I do indeed.
This is how I got back from the Token Lounge.
I know what I open, what I shut. I know. And Steve today, he's still, like I said, he's still a good friend of mine. We talk a lot. Not so much in the last month. I know he's had a little bit
Mhm.
of health issues, and I think he's getting through everything. And I wish him all the best. I don't think he's on the radio at this particular time, and
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope he gets back soon. But I want to get into the your band and how that all
Yeah,
came together, and what part did you play in putting the band together? Did you walk into it, or what happened?
actually, the full untold story of how shit began. First of all, we'll start with the name.
Okay.
Uh, the band that we had put together all said to me, "It's like, well, this is your band now. You get to pick the name." And I was like, I wanted it to be a one-word name. How Beatles, Who, you know, Led Zeppelin, even though it's two names. But actually, I was up late watching a Cheech and Chong movie. I mean, actually, chit is a gambling term that pit bosses use as a debt. Um, but Cheech and Chong movie, it was like half asleep, half awake, half asleep. And then all of a sudden, Cheech Marin just blurted out, hitting the steering wheel of his car, going, "Chit, chit, man, chit." And something just went off. He's like, "That's
That's
it.
it.
That's the name of
Yeah.
the band." And I went to the band and said, "The name is going to be Chet." And they went, "What? Shit? No, no, not shit. Chet." So that's how that came. But actually, I was always invited by local bands, either the Hayloft West and East, and the IROC nightclub, and uh, all different bars. The bands would invite me up to sing a song or two with them. I was never really a professional musician, nor do I even consider myself a professional musician now. But that's how it started. A group of local musician legends here in Detroit got together, and one of them was my buddy Chris and Bobby Black and Shane Sanders all said, "Hey, it's like we'll be your backing band." I said, "Wow!" It's like, "Wow, that's fantastic." And we got together, put a set list together. In fact, our anniversary was just on July 14th of our very first show. We've been together for 11 years. Not all the band members are with us anymore. Some of the, like Bobby Black has passed away. Um, but Andy Critter, he's another fantastic drummer that we had that unfortunately passed away. But we've had more band members than Spinal Tap. Yeah. We've had more drummers than Spinal Tap. There's actually been about I think the total. Don't quote me. We've had over 37 different members over the years, but
You're
it's just
kidding
fun.
me.
Yeah, but
Wow.
we have a T-shirt that's for sale that you can
Uh-huh.
get on the Chit website that is
Okay.
available on Facebook. That has from last year the whole list of all the band members that we've had over the years, and there's more being added as we speak. You play a couple shows
That's
with us,
pretty
and then we
cool.
put you. It's kind of like a Chit Wall of Fame.
That is
But we have
well,
so much fun with this name. I mean,
I
come take a
bet,
chit with
man.
us.
I see something the other day and I was just in tears and I can't remember what it was.
Probably
I
thank
took
you for taking a chit with us.
that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And I wonder why. How come you guys don't come over to the West Side plays? But I know that that's like the
Oh, in
first.
fact, we I remember us playing Chatters once,
Uh
and
huh.
then I remember the owner going,
Yeah, Jason. I know Jason all too well. He's very fickle
"I know
about.
you." I think we were just a little bit too loud for
Yeah,
him,
I
but we
think
put
so.
on an incredible show,
You know,
and we
I've tried to get some bands in there for him, and he's always
mhm,
shot me down because I do know a lot of bands
right
through me and my brother owning the Token, and just
now.
being
If
around them.
if I wanted to play the West Side more often, there's one promoter that I know I could count on to hook me up, and his name is John Bobby.
Yep, I was
If
just
I
gonna
contact
say.
John Bobby, if I said, get
Yep,
me we play Road Rangers all the time.
I didn't know
Over,
that.
yeah, we played
John Bobby
all
and me almost had a little venture. The Diamondback reopened,
right. Hmm.
and we went over there as a team to try to get in there to do some promotion and get some bigger bands in there, like Derek St. Holmes and some other. John knows a ton of people.
Oh yeah,
If you want to get in any venue, and me and him are pretty good friends as well, and I got nothing but love and respect for him, and he does a great job. Him and Doug do a lot of stuff together. Him and Podell,
right.
and
Hmm.
so yeah, I would love to see him more on the West Side. And I'm gonna put you in a pinch right now. I didn't
Hmm.
do my party at Garden City Park this year because of some. I lost a niece of mine due to fentanyl
Right.
and some. I had a pretty rough beginning of this year, so I just wasn't feeling it. But next year I'm going to come out swinging, and I would truly be honored if you and your band would come out and play it. It'll be at the end of June.
Sure.
Okay,
Cool.
so yeah, so that's really huge. I get a lot of people there, and I want to change up the bands a little bit. I don't know if
Hmm.
this is going to be my last time or not, but we get a huge crowd over there, and I know that people. I want to get some people from the east side, and I know you can bring a ton.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your where you're playing in the near future.
We got some upcoming dates. There's a brand new bar in the East Side that'll be opening up, and it's called Bora Bora. I'm still trying to figure out where exactly there. We're going to play there on August the 4th, a Sunday, which they have a unbelievable brunch offhand. I wish I would have thought of the area, but it's around the Mount Clemens area, I would believe. Um, Three Blind Mice, an awesome bar in Mount Clemens. We were on there August the 15th. Now, Lincoln Park Days is going to be a headlining gig. Uh, we are opening for Crazy Babies, which is
Tribute
outrageous.
band. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Ozzy and then
Hmm.
watched Crazy Babies, you can't tell the difference. It's
I
amazing,
know. I know.
amazing band. Freddy's Bar
I
and
know.
Grill
Yeah.
in Clinton Township, great
Yeah.
bar. It's where we have one of my big charities that we have every year, Rock for Tots, in December. Another bar called Octopus's Garden. We're going to be playing in September. And then the others you can find on chittheband.com
Right
or
on.
on our Facebook page.
Okay.
But
Scott.
we love playing all the great area bars from
Hmm.
Three Blind Mice to yeah, trying to think of all the great bars. The Winners Bar and Grill.
You
You
play
got
there a lot. You play there a
yeah,
lot.
they
And
love us there. I'm just
what's
waiting for the IROC nightclub to open back up.
oh, wouldn't that be
Steve and
something?
Ted, Steve and
Yeah.
Ted, we've been hinting towards it.
Right
They said,
on. That would be
yeah, if it
something.
happens, we would
Ah,
love to play there.
you got anything coming up at the Token Lounge anytime in the near future? Are you interested in playing over there?
Oh yeah, there was one time that I was all set to play. We had a gig there,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, I had a medical issue called a kidney stone. I was
Oh,
thrust into surgery, so my
yeah.
band went on without me. But they had
Oh,
me at the introduction of the whole night.
at the hospital.
Yeah, from the hospital on the phone,
Oh my
and it was great.
goodness.
I hope to see John and play the Token Lounge before too long.
Yeah,
That'd
John's
be
a great
incredible
guy. I love John dearly. My wife just had a kidney stone last year, and only one,
night.
and it came on like out of nowhere, and she was just crippled and buckled over in pain. We rushed her to the hospital. We were there all day, and it passed on its own that
Yeah,
day. And I was never so thankful, man. There's nothing anybody can do but just,
they're,
oh, you're gonna
they're
be
not
all right.
fun.
No, they're definitely not fun, Scott, man. And I want to say thank you so very much for coming on and being a part of my new venture, Catch the Pulse with Rodney. And is there anybody you want to like to say shout out to and say hi to or anything before we let you go?
Well, with the people who listen to the show and all my friends I've known for all the years, and thank you so much for making my dreams come true and following my dream ever since high school of this wonderful job called radio. It's had some ups and downs, and right now it's on such an upswing right now that I look forward to seeing you all at area concerts and local bars and venues and hey, backyard parties and all that.
Yes, sir. God bless
Just,
you.
just remember, I am always approachable.
Yes, you
You're
are.
more than welcome to come say hi, and just love to meet you in person. Just love all you guys. So thank you.
God bless you, Scott. Thank you so much, my friend. And with that, please, as what's that guy's name from the game show? Please spay and neuter your animals.
Yes,
And
yeah. Bob Barker,
Bob Barker, yeah, I love that guy. Yeah, please spay and neuter all
help
your
control the
animals.
pet population. Have your pets spayed and neutered.
I know, right? Okay, Scott, we're gonna let you go. God bless you. Thank you so very much. All right, take care, buddy.
Big finish.
I hope that's just paper.
right.
Oh, my cell phone.
That's your selfie. What are you doing with that? You can't put that on Snapchat.
I'm just taking a selfie.
What? No, you can't. You're gonna get banned from Facebook. You're going to Facebook jail. Ha ha.